One man built an empire by telling millions to reject the system. But now, that same system is fighting back. Andrew Tate, one of the Internet's most controversial figures, is once again at the center of a global legal battle. New criminal charges, a dramatic arrest, and an international extradition fight have raised one question that millions are asking. Has Andrew Tate's biggest battle only just begun? Only a few years ago, Andrew Tate was best known as a former kickboxing champion with a bold personality and an extravagant lifestyle. Through viral videos, luxury cars, private jets, and controversial opinions, he transformed himself into one of the Internet's most talked-about influencers. Millions of followers admired his confidence and business success, while critics accused him of promoting harmful ideas. Whether people supported him or strongly disagreed with him, one thing was certain: Andrew Tate had become impossible to ignore. As his online popularity exploded, so did the scrutiny surrounding him. Authorities in multiple countries began investigating serious allegations involving human trafficking, organized crime, and other criminal offenses. Prosecutors argued they had gathered evidence supporting these allegations, while Andrew Tate and his legal team consistently denied any wrongdoing. They maintained that the accusations were false and insisted that he intended to fight every charge through the legal system. For months, it seemed the legal battle had settled into a slow and complicated process. Court hearings came and went, and many believed the biggest headlines were already behind him. But then, everything changed. News broke that Andrew Tate had been arrested again as authorities pursued new legal action connected to an extradition request and additional criminal allegations. Within hours, social media exploded. News organizations around the world rushed to cover the story, and millions of people began asking the same question. What new evidence had brought Andrew Tate back into custody? And could these latest charges become the turning point that changes his future forever? As the investigation expanded across multiple countries, Andrew Tate's legal battles entered a new and unexpected phase. Authorities continued coordinating with international law enforcement, reviewing evidence, court filings, and extradition requests connected to the ongoing criminal investigations. Then came another major development. News broke that Andrew Tate had been taken into custody again, immediately placing his name back at the center of global headlines and reigniting intense public debate. According to prosecutors, the latest legal action was linked to new criminal allegations and an extradition process that they argued should move forward through the courts. Investigators maintained that the evidence collected over several years justified continuing the case, while officials emphasized that the legal proceedings would determine the next steps. Andrew Tate and his legal team, however, firmly rejected the allegations. They argued that he was innocent, denied any criminal wrongdoing, and stated that they would continue challenging the accusations through the judicial process. Within hours of the arrest, social media exploded with speculation. Supporters claimed the case was politically motivated, while critics argued that the justice system was simply following the evidence. News channels across the world analyzed every court filing, every legal statement, and every new update, turning the case into one of the most closely watched international investigations involving a social media personality. But the arrest itself was only the beginning. The real battle would take place inside the courtroom, where prosecutors would have to present evidence supporting the charges, and the defense would have the opportunity to challenge every claim. As both sides prepared for the next stage of the proceedings, one question remained at the center of the case. Would the evidence be strong enough to support the prosecution's allegations, or would the defense succeed in casting reasonable doubt before the court? As the case moved deeper into the courtroom, the focus shifted away from social media and onto the evidence. Prosecutors began presenting the material they believed supported the charges, arguing that the investigation had uncovered a pattern supported by digital communications, financial records, witness statements, and other evidence collected over time. They told the court that no single piece of evidence stood alone. Instead, they argued that the complete picture pointed toward criminal conduct that should be decided by a jury. The defense strongly disagreed. Andrew Tate's legal team challenged the prosecution's interpretation of the evidence and argued that investigators had reached unfair conclusions. They maintained that many of the allegations were based on unreliable claims and insisted that the available evidence did not prove criminal wrongdoing beyond a reasonable doubt. Throughout the proceedings, Andrew Tate continued to deny all criminal allegations and stated that he intended to clear his name through the legal process. As witnesses appeared before the court, every testimony became the subject of intense public debate. Legal experts analyzed each hearing, supporters defended Tate online, and critics argued that the evidence should speak for itself. Every court filing, legal motion, and judicial ruling generated new headlines, making the trial one of the most closely followed legal battles involving an online personality in recent years. Yet, despite the constant media attention, the courtroom remained the only place where the evidence truly mattered. Public opinion could not decide the outcome. The responsibility belonged to the legal system, where prosecutors would have to prove their case, and the defense would have every opportunity to challenge it. The question now facing the court was simple, but enormously important. Would the evidence ultimately support the charges beyond a reasonable doubt, or would the defense succeed in raising enough doubt to change the course of the case? As the courtroom proceedings continue, one thing is already clear. This case has grown far beyond Andrew Tate himself. What began as an investigation into one of the Internet's most recognizable personalities has become an international legal story involving multiple countries, complex court proceedings, and millions of people following every new development. The next decisions made by the courts could shape not only Tate's future, but also the direction of one of the most closely watched legal battles involving a social media figure in recent years. For prosecutors, the goal is straightforward. They must convince the court that the available evidence supports the charges under the law. For the defense, the mission is equally clear: to challenge the prosecution's case, question the strength of the evidence, and demonstrate that the allegations have not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Andrew Tate continues to deny all criminal allegations against him, and the legal process remains ongoing. Outside the courtroom, the debate continues to divide public opinion. Some believe the investigation reflects accountability for powerful public figures, while others argue that the legal process should be allowed to run its course without assumptions about guilt or innocence. Social media platforms remain filled with competing opinions, but ultimately, public debate cannot determine the outcome. That responsibility belongs to the courts. No matter how the case ends, its impact is already undeniable. It has sparked worldwide conversations about online influence, celebrity, criminal investigations, and the responsibilities that come with enormous public attention. As the legal proceedings move forward, millions will continue watching for every new filing, every hearing, and every ruling. Until a final verdict is reached, one question remains unanswered. Will Andrew Tate clear his name in court, or will these new charges permanently redefine his legacy,